George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Well, the Turning Stone Casino and Resort is celebrating 30 years, and the United Nations Enterprise recently announced a $370 million evolution, the largest expansion in the resort history. So, what does that mean for the region, and what is the economic impact of the investments that they have made so far and the potential of this investment? Well, funny you should ask, because Michael Mariani is the head of Oxford Economics. They study this sort of thing, and he's here to give us an insight as to what all of this means for the region. Michael, good to talk to you. And you got the numbers.
Yeah, I got the numbers for better or worse, and hopefully I can convey them in a way that non-economists and non-number geeks can understand them. So,
well, good to talk to you. But so it's a big deal, right? I mean, I met you at the announcement of this Turning Stone Evolution, which also includes a name change shortly to Turning Stone Enterprises.
Right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so talk to me about the role that Oxford has in helping to explain the impact, as well as giving us the numbers.
Yeah, so I want to start off with a little bit of background on Oxford Economics. So we are a team of about 400 economists worldwide, I should say. And we're also a research partner or data provider for more than 300 leading companies, associations, and destinations worldwide. And I head up the economic development team at Tourism Economics, which is a subsidiary of Oxford Economics. And I've actually done a lot of work for Turning Stone and the Nation since I first started at Tourism Economics about 12 years ago. But believe it or not, when they announced the anniversary and Turning Stone Evolution, they asked us to do a full economic impact analysis. And this is the first time we truly analyzed, just how far reaching the economic impacts of Turning Stone and the Nation are. And the numbers are staggering. Everyone knows that Turning Stone and the Nation are significant economic drivers within the region, but to put a number to that really does put it in perspective. So what we did is we analyzed 4 different impacts, but including current impacts, future impacts of Turning Stone Evolution, historic impacts of capital expenditures over the past 10 years, and also the impacts of settlement agreement payments over the past 10 years.
Sure. And we should say that, we're in partnership with the Turning Stone, and we've enjoyed a great partnership with them, helping to explain this impact. And it's interesting because a lot of the conversation in the region is about newer developments. And so in some ways, this is a reminder of existing developments. We're talking about Micron, for example, right? Newer development in town. And here we are with a development that has been ongoing already.
Yeah, no, that's right. And as I said, the numbers really put everything into perspective. And what we found, and I can give a little bit of background on economic impact analysis later on, but what we found is that the nation's current operations, so just as it stands currently, even before the evolution, basically generates $1.1 billion in total economic activity.
For the region?
And that's billion with a B.
For the region?
For the region, yep. That's correct. Yep. And, also part of that $1.1 billion economic impact includes 7,200 total jobs and $89 million in annual state and local tax revenues. So again, those are significant impacts within the region, and it shows just how much of a driver the nation is in the local economy.
Yeah, I mean, I think just thinking about all of the different properties that there are now, which started with one thing, right? And it's now several different enterprises in one. What else you got for me?
Well, I mean, you mentioned how it started with one property and then sort of expanded from there. One thing we did look at was the impact of all of their construction projects over the past 10 years. And basically, the nation spent more than $400 million in capital expenditures between 2013 and 2023. And that in itself generated $683 million in total economic activity. And they provided a list of, some of the projects. I mean, it's the construction of Exit 33, Turning Stones, Casino, Entertainment Complex, the YBR Casino and Sportsbook, Point Place Casino, Maple Leaf Market convenience stores, and the list goes on and on. So it really shows how much of an investment they've made, for infrastructure and other entertainment complexes in the region.
And I think the big deal is the jobs, right? I mean, that's really the engine that drives everything, right? If people don't have work, right, then it doesn't.
No, that's right. Yeah,
they have to have work. So that's a big deal.
And I mean, over the past 10 years, all those construction projects supported 4,000 one-time jobs during the construction period. But as you're adding these buildings, this infrastructure, it also generates additional ongoing and permanent jobs as well.
So what do we have then? What's the evolution going to produce?
So the evolution, as the nation announced, I guess, a few weeks ago at this point, the total estimated budget at this point is $370 million. So that's the direct construction and capital investment for Turning Stone Evolution. But, as we analyze these economic impacts, we're basically capturing what they call the multiplier effect or the downstream effect. So that $370 million, as it cycles through the economy, is going to generate a total economic impact of $616 million. And that's over, the full construction period. And Turning Stone Evolution alone will generate 3,600 construction jobs.
And because
these are staggering numbers.
I was going to say, because I love economics so much, I'm just going to trust your numbers.
Yeah. Well, George, what I will say is that, what we do use for our impact modeling is what they call an in-plan model. Right. And in-plan is basically one of the most widely used models. Yeah, it's one of the most widely used models for impact analysis. And so let's take that $370 million in construction costs. So that's what we call direct impacts.
Sure.
But as it cycles through the economy, it's going to generate indirect impacts and induced impacts. So the indirect impacts are supply side or supplier impacts. So the construction company, would in turn hire let's say a delivery service or legal service within the region. So that's the indirect impact. But construction employees are also going to spend money in the local region on food, transportation, entertainment. And that's what we call the induced impacts. So the direct, indirect, and induced impacts basically sum to the total economic impacts.
Oh, that's pretty deep. So
that's impact modeling in a nutshell. So
thank you very much for explaining that.
Yeah.
And of course, that also, there's going to be a hotel that's going to be built, a new luxury hotel, and again, a number of different businesses that will be spun off as a result of this investment. So it's not just the expansion of the existing Turning Stone Casino, but it's also under the corporate, a number of different entities, all told will deliver this economic impact. And so it's coincides.
Yeah, no, that's right. And
you're going to say,
and the evolution also includes new conference facilities. It's basically going to double Turning Stone's existing meeting and convention space, which means that you'd be able to attract, more meeting and convention business to the region. It's also going to include new dining options, outdoor spaces, and other amenities. So it's really going to have additional transformational impacts.
So all in all, this is, how would you describe as an economist, how the GAO says, they give a forecast, or they give, what do? They they talk about the impact. You've given us the numbers. This is a good sign, right?
Oh, it's definitely a good sign. As I mentioned, Oneida Indian Nation's current impact is at 1.1 billion, and that impact is only gonna increase almost exponentially once Turning Stone Evolution is up and running and all of those new components are in place.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so, what else do we have to look forward to as we break down this economic impact?
Well, one of the additional components that we looked at is cumulative settlement agreement
Right,
payments by
right, yeah.
Oneida Indian Nation. You're
Mm-hmm.
right. Yeah. Again, over the past 10 years, and their total cumulative settlement agreement payments total $642.3 million.
Now you got to break
And
that down because
that
if you're new to the area, you may not know what that means.
right. So basically, it's the is it the 10th? I believe it's also the 10th. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, it is the 10-year anniversary of the settlement agreement between Oneida Indian Nation, New York State, and Madison and Oneida counties. And the settlement agreement basically resolved governance issues regarding sales tax, land use, and regulatory jurisdiction. And under the agreement, Oneida Indian Nation provides payments to the state and the local counties
That
in
was under the land
consideration
claim. And
for,
wasn't that under the land
yeah.
claim like that? Yeah, the Oneida Nation land claim. Okay, just want to
No, yeah, it
for
was under
people
the
to
land claim.
right. There was people, the settlement, but then it was the land claim, and that's how we got to the settlement.
Yep.
Okay, right.
Exactly. So basically, through the settlement agreement, the nation makes payments to these counties, and the aggregate payments over the past 10 years total $642.3 million. And it's significant revenue for the counties. For example, because of the settlement agreement payments, Oneida County hasn't raised property tax rates in 10 years. And Onondaga County used the cumulative payments to guarantee bonds that the county issued to build the St. Joseph's Health Amphitheater up in Lakeview. So these settlement agreement payments have additional economic impacts as they too ripple through the local economies.
Lots there. I was, and how did Onondaga County get in the mix of that?
I am not sure, to be perfectly honest.
I wondered about that. Well, that's all right. We stay. Hey, Michael, stay in your lane. That's all you got to worry. Just crunch the numbers.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. That's outside my area of expertise.
That's okay. Michael Mariano is with Oxford Economics and head of tourism economics, looking at the impact, the economic impact of the Turning Stone Evolution, where they announced a $370 million expansion into not only just that property, but another of other businesses related to the work that they do. What else do we need to know, Michael?
Well, we also took a look at payments to vendors, under the nation's current operations. So we also looked at payments to local vendors in the most recent fiscal year, and that totaled $115 million to vendors in Onondaga, Oneida, and Madison counties. And again, that ripples through the local economy and generated a total economic impact of $177 million. So again, that shows just how much the nation supports local businesses and local vendors, and that came out to almost 1,400 jobs included in that total economic impact.
And again, going back to the current impact is $1 billion, is what you said, like $1 billion, the current economic impact. Wow.
Yeah, 1.1 billion. Yep,
$1.1 billion. Well, that is why they're in the position that they are, and a real economic driver in the region, and a lot more to come, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And as I said, that impact's only going to grow during the evolution as they actually build the complexes. And that ongoing impact, again, is also going to grow as well once all of the, new infrastructure and new entertainment options are up and running.
And you said that this is the first time that you actually begun to measure this. And so, again, what this looks like in for people, if instead of numbers, let's talk about facilities. A new 77,000 square foot conference center. Again, a new hotel, restaurant with extensive updates. The New York Rec and Social Club, which is a new property coming to Exit 33. An on-site medical center for employees and guests, which is also going to be part of that. Other additions includes a new golf course practice area, Robert Trent Jones Jr. golf course and practice area, more than 120 electric vehicle chargers, and as we said, the Turning Stone Oneida Nation Enterprises will become Turning Stone Enterprises to coincide with the branding of its most well-known property. And so it's 10 years of this, like you said, of the historic settlement agreement, and a lot more to come from this regional partner. So with that, Michael, as there also, we should also point out that the Oneida Nation has announced a partnership with Tesla to develop the first Tesla economic showroom in upstate New York as well. And that was previously announced. So lots on the table here, Michael, lots on the table here. And with that being said, we thank you for presenting the information. Unless there's anything else you got on the table there, we appreciate you sharing the economic impact of Turning Stone Enterprises, or Oneida Nation Enterprises, soon to be Turning Stone Enterprises.
Yeah, not quite yet.
Not quite yet. We almost there.
Right.
And $1.1 billion current economic impact with more to come. So, Michael, good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, George.
Thank you for sharing the impact of the Oneida Nation Enterprises on Inspiration for the Nation,
Thanks,
a
George.
partner of ours.